Yo, what's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. We got another Sunday night chill stream. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend this past weekend. It was a nice chill weekend for us. We saw Super Mario Bros. Friday, and then just hung out last 2 days, run some errands and stuff like that, and chilled around the house, been playing some games. But I like to do these Sunday night streams and just kind of relax, wind down. Hope you all are having an awesome time right now, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. John Wolf, shout out to John Wolf, says, Mav, I'm only here because you stream at 60 FPS. Thanks, man. I made it a standard. It's a priority for our channel to be at 60 frames. Unfortunately, it won't let me upload on Spotify at 60. You know, I don't, maybe it does, because you know, Spotify started letting us do a video late last year, so our podcasts are up on Spotify now, and I sometimes I'm a little late on getting them up, but I just finished putting up Friday's show, so it should be there. So if you do like to listen to Xbox Ultimate on audio, that is available for you guys. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the places, iHeartRadio even. Sub RSJ, sub Jasper, and not in 4K. Who would have thought? Yeah, dude, here's the thing. If I really want us to do 4K, actually I would do 4K 60 if I could. My equipment's capable of it, but it's so demanding of the internet, and my upload speed kind of sucks. Otherwise I would stream at 4K. Sub Dragonheart Yobi, sub Sappho, Delusions of Grandeur, how's it going? Def Leopard, yo, how you doing? Mozum Shmeek, what's up? How are you doing? Mozum Shmeek said just pulled off a crazy comeback in Halo. Nice. Halo is a game that has co-op tethered. And it's not untethered, it is tethered. But they're able to hit 60 frames. Maybe that was with Redfall, that was a mistake to go untethered. I got a question. I know I don't want to get off track into the wrong subject here, but for the chat, in co-op games, how many of you really go that far away from the people you're playing with, right? Like, especially like a team-based shooter where you're going and using abilities and helping each other out and stuff. Do you like stray really far away, or do you kind of tend to stick with your friends? Because that's kind of the point of co-op, right? But anyway, it just seems like this untethered co-op stuff is causing problems for some of these developers. And I don't know if it's like, I understand it's the game they want to make. I just don't know if it's like a priority that needs to be there. Just a thought. You know, it's a great idea to like a great thought. Hey, be able to, we can all go wherever the hell we want and do whatever we want and stuff, you know, which is cool. But I can do that when I play by myself, without co-op. So if I really don't care about being with my friends, why do I need to be playing co-op? I don't know. And even like, and usually in these tethered co-op games, you can still go pretty damn far away from each other. Like, I use Halo Infinite as an example, and you can go like really damn far in that game. Now, granted, Halo is also a bad example because they didn't even have co-op at launch. So, you know, I can't really say too much about that. And I was wrong about them not delaying Halo. I think they should have delayed it another year probably until it was complete, because I think it would have been best for the game now in hindsight. But I originally didn't want them to delay it. But I know that Redfall is no chance they're going to delay it really. But I think it would be best for the game to launch with the feature. But it is what it is. Anyway, get back on track. I hope you're all having a great night tonight, and had a great weekend. There's been a lot of very, very interesting discussions on Twitter's ever since that announcement came late last week. But I think we're all, for the most part, moving on mostly past the Redfall stuff. Jasper says, depends on the game. If you're trying to do mission fast XP, it's better to split up and everyone do a mission to maximize XP gains. I could see that. That makes sense. I'm not that kind of gamer though, so I would understand. I understand for people that are, for sure. I stick to the crew. You know, I don't like to wander off. Well, I say I don't like to wander off by myself, but I usually, when we're playing co-op games, I usually get everybody else into trouble because I wander into trouble and then I need everybody's help. So I'll like move forward and I'm like, oh shit, guys, where are you? You know, that happens a lot in the co-op games. If I wandered off by myself, I just get my ass kicked. Captain Destruction asked, do you think Arcane needs to actually say when the 60 frames per second patch will come out? I think it'd be nice, but I honestly think they have no clue. They didn't even say soon. Which for me, I know usually when they try and ease concerns, they'll say the word soon. But I think they intentionally left out the word soon. They just said at a later date. So who knows? Sup, Alvin? Appreciate you for being here. Erotimus, yo, how's it going? Jax says, I think we get the CMA decision by Friday. Yeah. Could be any time. You know, like, I think there's rumors going on that the Xbox and Microsoft has already submitted their remedies and stuff, and they're just waiting the decision now. Which I've said this for a while, that I don't think they would be submitting something they didn't think they were going to get an agreeable answer to. Otherwise, they try and be prolonging stuff, right? Dragging it on. So I think if they knew that they were going to get a decision, they'll go ahead and turn the stuff in so that way they can get a sooner decision. John Wolf says ABK closing is a win Xbox needs this week. That would be nice. Yeah, I think they need some positive news. It's going to be interesting. I think once Redfall hits and actually comes out, there's going to be a lot of talk, and I think for the most part, like, people that are enjoying it and playing it, there's still going to be a lot of positivity around it. But then there's still going to be a lot of people that just aren't going to play it. Like I've said it, I wanted to play the game, but after Gotham Knights and my FOMO got the best of me with that, and that's even a third-person game, right? But with my FOMO getting me on Gotham Knights, because it was one of my most anticipated games last year, I still can't really get into it because of the frame rate. It's been a lesson learned. Now, granted, I don't have to actually buy Redfall because it's in Game Pass, but I don't want to sit there and play through a lot of the experience at a quality that I know is going to get better later. Like, why would I want to play something when I know it's going to be better? You know what I mean? Like, is that a thing with games now that we just, like, it's best to wait for like 6 months to play every single game because they're better 6 months later? Maybe. This week, yeah, you're right. Delusion says the Minecraft game releases this week, and so far reviewers think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's in like in the mid 70s, I think, on Meta. It's got some solid scores, got some different takes here and there. And for me, it just depends on the kind of, it seems like it's a fun strategy game. So I love strategy games. So John Wolf says, I'll play it on PC. I'm fortunate to own a capable PC, but you get me. Yeah. If my PC could do a quality 60 frames per second, I would consider playing it that way. I may try it to see if I can do that. I don't even know if we have the minimum specs and all that kind of stuff out yet for Redfall. So I'm assuming it's another CPU bottleneck, kind of like Gotham Knights was, because similar situation, Unreal Engine 4, untethered co-op, that whole story, and apparently the CPU is the bottleneck on that game. So it's interesting. I don't like the trend though where we're at now on these games. Like, oh, we'll add it later. Go ahead and launch it. Add it later, but it is what it is. Antonio Newman says, have I played any Ghostwire Tokyo? I've played probably maybe 45 minutes to an hour, or maybe even less, of Ghostwire Tokyo, but just enough to kind of get a sampling of what it is. And the main reason I haven't played more is just because I've been doing multiple things, and when I have hopped on to play games here and there, I've just tried to get my fix in on MLB The Show, because I can kind of launch MLB The Show, play it for 30 minutes to an hour or so and have a great time. Ghostwire Tokyo, it actually seems really good, and I'm waiting for a time where I'm going to sit there and play for 5 hours and play it, and maybe I'll stream it. I don't know, but it's really cool so far. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be, honestly, with the gameplay style, and I think it was underappreciated from the PlayStation community as an exclusive on that console for a year. For me, that's a solid title. And I don't know if it got hate because it's an Xbox owned franchise now, if it got hate because or just a lack of appreciation because it's a first person game. And, you know, PlayStation diehards, they love the third person action adventure story based games and stuff like that. But Ghostwire Tokyo is really different. It's like a different style game. I mean, like, I don't know if I've ever really played anything like it so far. It's got like inspiration from different games I can see, but that game alone also kind of, again, tells me like, wow, like Xbox has a special something in Tango Gameworks. Because if you look at Tango Gameworks, they were known for Evil Within, had 2 Evil Within games, and everybody assumed they're just kind of keep going that route, survival horror style games, right? And then all of a sudden we get Hi-Fi Rush out of the blue, right? And Hi-Fi Rush is completely different. I mean, it can be further. I mean, it's a action-based rhythm game with like anime kind of art style and stuff. And it's just a badass game. Really good. Great music. And then they also had already launched Ghostwire Tokyo, which, granted, it's still a horror game. Gameplay wise and style wise, it's insanely different than Evil Within. So they got 3 completely different style games, 3 completely different play style games, and they're all within the last few years. So whenever the next Tango Gameworks game gets announced, I'm going to be extremely excited for that. Oh, Jasper says Steam minimum spec for Redfall. AMD RX 580. Okay. So Jasper, would I be able to run this on my RX 590 at 60 frames, do you think? Because usually on the PC side, they do those minimum specs at like 1080 60, don't they? Or is that, or am I wrong? I'm not a big PC gamer, so I'm not familiar a lot with how they do the minimum specs and recommended specs for the PC and what the what kind of gameplay you're expected to get out of it. But I have a RX 590 in this PC. So would I be potentially capable of 60 frames in that game? I'm just curious. Cyber Gunter says Ghostwire Tokyo has trippy stuff, very spooky. Just do the side mission at school. Yeah, when I was in the hospital at the very beginning of the game, I got Fear vibes. If y'all remember Fear, it was a Monolith game, and there was 3 of them. Fear 2 is the best, I think. Okay, so Jasper says those specs have been there for a bit, so they could have changed. Right on. Game Shark says the thing about PC is you never really know for sure until you run it and see what you're willing to sacrifice in certain areas. Yeah, I know you can like turn off everything on PC, right? So that's interesting. Yeah, if my PC can run it at 60, I'll play it. Especially because it has crossplay and all that stuff. Kate asked, am I gonna play anything? I don't think so. I've been playing a lot of baseball off and on today. I kind of feel like shit right now and I got a headache. It's hard to enjoy games a lot, but I kind of felt like chilling, you know. Hey baby. Jasper says, yeah, maybe on low to mid settings. I'm fine with that. If I can turn off all the fidelity stuff and get 60 frames, I'd rather do that if it's a smooth 60, you know, than play at 30, 4K. You know, I know 4K looks better, but not in motion, right? Not with, especially a first-person shooter. Def says I'm playing Ghostwire Tokyo in quality mode. Right on. And that's a slower-paced game. So for that one, I don't think it necessarily is going to hit as hard. But as opposed to like a game like Redfall, where it's a shooter. Sup, TMHW Gaming said, what's up? Just saw the tweet, just stopping by to show love and hit that like button. Have a good show. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I do these streams sometimes Sunday nights, just chill and hang out, kind of discuss whatever the chat brings up. But yeah, thank you all again for tuning into this stream. We got almost 50 people here right now. If you do like the content on the channel, hit the like button, share it out, sub to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that kind of stuff. Tune into our podcast we have during the week too, because we have 3 shows. Mondays we have Fun Speculation Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays is PM of the PM at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Fridays is Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, thanks, Steph. No, I just like, yeah, I'm not like sick. I'm not like sick or anything. You know, just like some days you just kind of feel like, yeah, I feel like shit today. You know, it's just one of those days, right? Punty says, you got me wanting to play Gotham Knights now. I wonder if the FPS will affect my eyes. Been playing too much MLB 23 myself. Never ran the bases in first person. You're freaking out. I have been insanely hooked on the show. I used to love the show and I played it like every year, and sometimes I would like just play it for like weeks on end and not play anything else really. But I kind of got away from that a little bit for some reason. I don't know what it is this year. Man, it's got its hooks in me like big time. I think they added enough stuff to the Diamond Dynasty mode, and I'm really addicted to these like 3-inning games because you get like quick satisfaction, and that's been one of the things with baseball is like sometimes those 9-inning games can kind of drag on, right? But with the Diamond Dynasty, you have like these 3-inning quick games, and it's been a blast. Right on, Punty. Yeah, Jasper's Gotham Knight story is so good. Jasper said it was close to being his game of the year last year. Antonio Newman says, I'm really excited for Jedi Survivor. Man, that last trailer for Jedi Survivor was sick. I gotta admit, that last trailer for Jedi Survivor had me like maybe thinking day one on that game. I still haven't beat Fallen Order. Which maybe I will, if I have time, I'll hop back into that and try and finish it off before Survivor comes out. Really good game. I think when I picked it back up last time, I ran into a glitch or a game-breaking bug that had my progress kind of halted. So that's why I kind of stopped. But maybe that's fixed now. I don't know. I have to load it back up. Survivor looks insane. Starfield looks insane. Yeah, man, there's so many great looking games. Final Fantasy 16 looks insane. I gotta say, guys, like Final Fantasy 15 to me was ass. That was like the worst Final Fantasy game ever made, in my opinion. Like as far as a mainline. And I'm not counting the spin-offs. I'm not counting like the old like portable games. I'm not counting all that shit. I'm talking about mainline Final Fantasies. I'm not even talking about 13.2 or like 10.2, all that stuff. I'm talking about mainline, just traditional numbered Final Fantasy games. 15 was the worst, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people loved it, and a lot of people, it was their first time playing a Final Fantasy game, but I couldn't stand it. 16 looks really different for Final Fantasy, but it seems like they're hitting on something that is very appealing to me. So I'm really looking forward to it. RSJ asks, if Final Fantasy 16 fails, do you think Square is doomed to fail? I don't know. I think Final Fantasy 16 could be the biggest hit they've had in a long time. Based on the hype for it right now, and based on the fact that there's not a lot of exclusive games on PlayStation this year that are big. You got like Spider-Man 2 and you got Final Fantasy 16. Forspoken flopped, but Final Fantasy is a traditional big hype game, you know, especially the mainline series. So I think 16 is going to do really well for them. If it does do bad, then I think Square's even in more trouble than they are now. But this one game could change things for them. I think it's going to sell like crazy on the PlayStation. I wish it was on Xbox. These third-party exclusive deals suck. I don't think they do anything and benefit anybody, really. The only benefit I could see is they're able to focus more on the development and get a more polished experience out at launch, and maybe have a shorter dev cycle, right? Than having to make something for multiple platforms. Jack says, I have 73,000 Microsoft reward points saved. You can use it for a free $70 game. Nice. I wish I was patient enough to save up that much. I usually get around like $10 worth, and then I use it on making a game cheaper, or I use it for some crazy game that was like dirt cheap on sale or something like that. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is going to be interesting. I think that'll be a big game this year too. But I still think this year is going to be dominated by Xbox. Like, they have so much first-party stuff. We've already had Age 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Minecraft Legends is hitting in Ghostwire Tokyo hit Game Pass. Minecraft Legends is hitting in 2 days. Then we have Redfall. Then you still have Starfield, and you still have Forza Motorsport. And then there's still a lot of third-party games to come. Stalker 2 could potentially still hit this year. Who knows if they have any other surprises for the holiday. Hellblade 2 could be actually this year, if not early next year. This year is just an exceptional year if you're a Game Pass subscriber, if you're an Xbox gamer. I think it did some detriment to it by launching Redfall potentially in the way that it is, but I wouldn't want too much of a significant delay. If they weren't able to hit 60 frames in the next couple months, then I think they go ahead and launch it, but I wish they would have just pushed it back a little bit. And the reason I think they didn't is because of that dumb 12-month promise they made everybody last year. Like, last year they did that 12-month thing, and now two of the big games are gonna miss out on that with Forza and Starfield. And if they like had all three of the big ones miss out of that, they would have just like looked stupid, right? So I mean, also that's so close to launch. It's a decision for them to go ahead and do it. I think that they're just hoping this all blows over and that people just like the game and don't care about the frame rate when it launches. But unfortunately, I know it's going to affect a lot of us that do care. But it is what it is. Sub Dreadpool, how's it going? Game Shark says Benjamin Fox looks fire. Yeah, that game looks really good. Game Pass Day 1 also. Then we also have Silk Song supposed to come out this year, and that's in Game Pass Day 1. Replaced is supposed to come out this year. That's in Game Pass Day 1. So those are two indie games besides Benjamin Fox that could still hit this year that are in Game Pass as well. So this year is just insane for value. And who knows what else. The thing about Xbox is like there's also several things throughout the year that they surprise us with, you know. But not only all that stuff, but we're still going to have the conclusion of this whole ABK fiasco that's been going on the last 13 months now. So that's going to happen over 15 months now. Because it was last January when they made the announcement. So 15 months. This is the ABK stuff's been going on. So another 2 months, maybe we have the conclusion of that. That's on top of everything else. And who knows what we get in Game Pass and everything after that deal is finalized. Diablo 4, all those kind of things. That'll be big news when that happens, right? Ghost Victor says, I think I'm fine with 30 frames just as long as the game doesn't have some weird blurriness to it that you can't turn off, if that makes sense. Well, for me, like when I move the camera, I get like this blur effect that bothers me at 30 frames, regardless of the filters and stuff like that. Don Sicario says Ravenlock. Big Mad Mo said all they had to do is not put 60 frames per second in the marketing. Yeah, that also keeps showcasing it at 60 frames. But even then, if they had done that, we would all been like, wow, is this thing going to be 30 frames? You know? Yeah, there's going to be... wow, FARKU's got 225,000 Xbox points? Holy shit. That's enough... that's like enough for a Series S almost, dude. You save up a little bit more, you'll be in the Series S territory. 30 bothers you for a few minutes, but I end up getting used to it. It bothers me for a couple hours, and then I can get used to it. And sometimes it messes with my head, like, because I'm so used to 60 frames now. It wasn't a thing before, you know, last generation and before then. Like, I was fine with it. I didn't really know any better. But now I'm so accustomed to 60 that when a game is 30, I'm like, whoa, what is this? Like, what's going on? Why does this look so bad? Yeah, that's honestly my immediate, like, response. I haven't seen John Wick 4, Raid. All RSJ fan says after ABK was Japanese publisher, do we think they'll get? For me, I think Sega is one that they could go after. And I don't know if it's possible or not, but like that would be, I think, the one that they would desire the most. So maybe they make it happen. I don't know. Like, do they take advantage of the political pressures right now between Japan and the American government with the trade deals and stuff like that going in? And the American government is talking to Japan saying, hey, what's going on with this 98% market share in the high-end console market stuff that they've been putting out there? And what's up with these like exclusive deals you're signing with third-party publishers to keep games off of Game Pass and Xbox? Xbox hasn't been able to gain any foothold. What's up with this? If Microsoft wants to take advantage of those pressures, maybe they get easier approval over there. And also Sega doesn't like have any of those like Call of Duty games, so like it's hard for PlayStation or anybody to really make a big stink about it. It's also been they're big partners. They always have been ever since Xbox existed. Sega's rumored to be acquiring Rovio, the Angry Birds developer. And that's a possibility. It's not official. But if that happens, then that would be another check mark for Xbox with another win in the mobile market. Also, Sega has a big PC presence. They have devs all over the world that do lots of different style games, PC, console, then mobile with the Rovio. So I think it's a good fit. And they also do fighting games, right? They do strategy games, all this stuff. We know that they've been partners with them since like last year when they announced that big cloud partnership deal that a lot of people said, oh, it's just the cloud. Then since then, we've seen a lot of games of their games coming to Game Pass. We've seen a lot of the Atlas games come over now and all this kind of stuff. So I think that Sega is a high target of theirs if it's possible, but we'll see. I think it depends on what Sega wants. But we also got to remember, Sega was making moves beforehand to potentially make themselves more acquirable as they separated themselves from the other businesses and stuff like that to be focused more on gaming. You have enough for a special edition console, Dread? Are you waiting for a potential Starfield console? Rumors are that the console isn't happening, but there may be a headset as well as that controller that had leaked. And that, I think KhAos said that in the chat of a podcast, and it became like news everywhere. That was interesting. Cybergunner says no more studios, concentrate on the ones they already have, make sure they retain top talent and make great games. Yeah, that's a good point. I still don't think they're done though. I think they've admitted that and with interviews and stuff like that as well. So it's interesting. Jack says they won't buy anyone in the middle of the year. To be January 2024. Possibly. Micah says John Wick was intense. The amount of gunplay. I really want to see John Wick 4. Haven't had a chance yet, but we did go to the movies on Friday. We saw Super Mario Brothers. Me and my daughter, my wife went after she got out of school. Took her to the movies, and that was really fun movie. That movie's like breaking records, insane records. Like it's destined to be the highest grossing animated movie of all time. It's insane. But I gotta say, like, they did a great job with it. It's not like the most amazing story ever told or whatever, but like everybody's worried about Pratt. Pratt did a great job. Charlie Day did a great job as Luigi. Jack Black was amazing as Bowser. But another thing that surprised me was Donkey Kong. Seth Rogen stole the show. Absolutely stole the show. That was amazing. Just great. You got to see the performance there. It was fantastic. Jack says I gotta get into cartoons and animated stuff. Got to be real people. Yeah, that's fine. I like animated movies. I always have. I grew up a Disney kid. I had all the, remember the bubble packs for the Disney movies? The big VHS things. I had all those. I watched them all the time. And so I kind of gained an appreciation for animated movies with all those classic movies back in the day, and I still like them now. I mean, there's a lot of good animated movies. I saw a lot of trailers for good animated movies coming out too. That Ninja Turtles movie looks pretty solid. That's coming out. That's a Seth Rogen movie. He's making that. Then there's also the new Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie. That looks really good. I saw a trailer for that. So there's some really cool shit coming. Everybody says movies are dead. Movies are dead. Movies are dead. But here you have Super Mario Bros. Coming out, destroying the box office, breaking records, right? You have other movies doing decently well. I think it's interesting, with these all these licenses for video games. It's like video games has become the new like comic book. Like everybody's looking for source material for movies and stuff. Where like ever since the MCU kind of really kicked it off, everybody's trying to take advantage of like the comic book genre. And you have all these spin-offs with all these different shows based on comics or like comic book style characters and stuff. And now, and I think Sonic may have even kind of gotten this going. People realize, if you do it well, you do it good. Like these video game movies can be excellent. You had Halo TV show that I know a lot of people didn't like, but it was extremely successful for Paramount Plus. Last of Us show, extremely successful for HBO. So we're going to keep seeing this. There's going to be the Fallout show. We're going to have a Gears show as well. Punty says, if the Mario movie makes more than $1 billion, they should just give away half that money. What do they need all that money for unless they're going to use it to make a new game? Maybe they should invest it in a Switch. The Switch 2. That'd be nice. Hey, real quick, everybody. Did anybody here have a chance to watch Iron Lord's podcast today? They had like a 7-hour show today. It was like 7 hours, I think, at least. I don't know how long they were live for. It was insane. But they had their 300th episode today. Iron Lords had 8 hours. They had their 300th episode today. And man, it was amazing. And I gotta say, like, as amazing as the Iron Lords are, like, it was amazing to see the community response and the respect that they have and they've gained. Like, it shows what this community is all about and everything, like they started reading their super chats like 5 hours into the show or 6 hours into the show or whatever. And it took them over an hour to get through them all because of the amount of respect and everything the community was just throwing their way. It's like, it's insane to see how successful a podcast-based channel has become for them and stuff. And man, it's inspirational for, like, I think for creators to see like podcasts do that well, like, and that's just because people love those guys. Those, like, they're to be able to have a show that and have that many people show up. I mean, they had like Jason Ronald show up through there. They had like Ryan McCaffrey roll through there today. There's like several podcasters from the community were rolling through, and it was just insane to see. And just much respect to the Iron Lords, and congrats on 300. That was an insane show, and I know they'll probably remember that forever. They'll remember that. They got to remember that show forever, because it wasn't them trying to prolong this thing to make it that long. It was everybody wanting to stop through and give their love and respect to them, right? Like, it's insane. It was inspiring to see that show today. I mean, I had it on since like I got up today, and then it was still on like in the evening. It was nuts, The Game Shark says that they're awesome, but they didn't get to the first topic until hour 5. Yeah, and the first topic was Redfall. Just props to those guys. It's amazing. You know, Sanchez says you were watching them when they had 500 subs. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Now, episode 300, I only caught on to them when I started my show, Xbox Ultimate. I started this channel because like I had I didn't really know anybody in the community or whatever, and I was learning. Like I started the show and I didn't really understand what YouTube was. I didn't understand like how it worked with podcasting, all that stuff. I just figured it as a place to put this podcast, and I thought of podcasting as more of an audio thing. But I started checking out some of these shows that I saw people like on Twitter talking about and stuff like that. And, you know, after I had a couple episodes out, I saw their show and I was like, wow, like these guys are hilarious. These guys are amazing. Like this is like goals, you know, goals to get to that level of respect that they have. So it'll be years before we could ever dream of that. But, you know, 300 episodes. And think of that, we've had really extreme consistency with Xbox Ultimate for over 2 years. And we're at episode 1. We just did episode 134. And it'll take another over 3 years to get to episode 300. It'll take over 3 years to get to episode 300 for us. And it's just like, it's amazing. So again, congrats to the Iron Lords. Yeah, 3-Bet, I remember you were on the show. Pong's been on the show. I got to be on the show one time as well. I hopped on today for a few minutes. I had to give them their praises. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Sappho, Jasper says, I'm making you feel old. Jasper, I don't remember, what was the first episode you were on Xbox Ultimate? We were still in the were we under 50? I know 3-Bet was been on like since like 17 or 16 or so. Yeah, the Iron Lords are amazing. That was I think that was a great community moment as a whole. Not just for Iron Lords, but like a great community moment today on that show. I saw, so Sappho says, how many people did Bungie lay off? I saw something about that. I don't know. Like, does somebody in the chat know about how many people got laid off? Yeah, I will, Talos. I'll check it out. I really want to see it. Because didn't Sony have to pay more than Bungie was worth to like guarantee the salary for Bungie for a certain amount of time? To make sure that they kind of like prevented layoffs? This channel started in like around August of 2020, I think. Sousa. And I just started it like without, like, I didn't know anybody. I just created a Twitter. I created a YouTube. I didn't really engage in anybody's chats. I didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't know anything, you know, like I just tried it, you know, because I wanted to talk about gaming. And it kind of grew into what we are, you know, like I never thought Xbox Ultimate and all these shows would actually exist in the way or format that they are. And I couldn't ever foresaw that. But it was because of checking out shows like Iron Lords and Xbox 2 or, you know, RDX and, you know, Go Live, all these things, you know, that like really kind of teach me a little bit. Right. Oh, you're 70. Oh, okay. 70 something, Jasper, for what episode you started on, right? Punty says, I couldn't afford to game for a few years because of a job loss and a divorce. Damn. But when I came back 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't believe how it's grown since the 360 days. Gaming has changes so much, man. And the community, I can't speak to what this community was 3 years ago, but I can tell you, even in the 2.5 years or so that I've been involved with this community from this side of it anyway, it's just grown so much. It's insane. Punty says, with the podcast, also I'm freaking out how amazing and loving the Xbox gaming community in general is. Xbox gaming community is the best. I'll say that. Free Bear says, I just subbed to Iron Lords. Thanks for the info. Hey, man. That's free information. One of the best podcasts around. I'll say that. Susa asks, how did I meet Pong Soul? Well, that's a great question. Pong Soul was in our chat. Pong Soul was in everybody's chat. We all used to, like, on podcasts, we would joke about Pong Soul because we were wondering how he was in everybody's chat all the time. That was the joke about Pong. And he was like everywhere, and he would always be I forget, he had a certain tagline that he would say to he wouldn't, it would be like a tagline, but he would always like individually like say hi to everybody in every chat that he was in, and shout out everybody in the chats. And he was always in the chats. And I remember I was listening to a show that I used to check out, and I still do every once in a while, Retro Renegades. Great guys over there. But I was checking out a show, and they had Pong on as like a guest, and that's kind of like a show where you just kind of hang out, shoot the shit and stuff. And I was like, that guy's really good. And he was always in the chats. And I remember he also on PTK's show on Shop Podcast at 3-Bit was actually the one that sent PTK a message or something saying, hey, you should have Pong Soul on your show. And I heard him on that show as well. And I was like, man, I need to get him on, because at the time I was always looking for different people to have on and stuff. And we had a small panel. It was like me and Kate and 3-Bit, and Assassin Lupa. And I hit up Pong. It's like, hey, man, you want to come on as a guest? He guested on a show. And then I found it, like, I was like, man, I should ask him to be a panel member, But then I saw that PTK on the shop had asked him to be a panel member. And I was like, well, shit, I was too late, And Kate was like, you should ask him. He's really good. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm too late, though. Like, so I just sent him a DM anyway. I was like, hey, Pong, you want to, like, join our show? Like, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So he's been a part of the our family, like, ever since then. But even before that, Pong and I always talked in the chats and stuff. And when I was streaming, playing games a lot, he was there, and we'd shoot the shit because he always had like great points and great thoughts, and like we would just like kind of had a lot of similar ways of thinking about things in the industry and where things were going, and the whole golden age thing and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's kind of interesting how all of our group kind of got together. Like Jasper was in our chats. Me and 3-Bit met Jasper because he joined us when we were playing Halo one day, and we just got along, and I thought he was good, and we had him on a show once, and then I had him on Fun Pop when we had Fun Pop, and then eventually he joined the other shows. So like it just kind of grows naturally, right? Like you find the right fits, you find the right people. It's just amazing, the community and what it is. He's like Timmy and Talos. I think Timmy's been on our show. Talos hasn't. No, is Talos interested in podcasting? Timmy's been on our show. I'm pretty sure Timmy has. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, it was amazing to see that show today. It was great. I like it in the questions. Anybody else got any questions? Let me know. Nick said the layoffs are normal at Bungie. Yeah, I don't know if they like had an agreement to not lay off anybody within a certain amount of time, and then that expired and they just laid off a certain amount of people. I don't know. It is kind of like, one thing I'll say is I don't ever make a huge deal when there's layoffs at Xbox or when people leave, because I think it's just a natural thing. It happens, right? We have discussions about it and think like, especially when certain people leave, like it can be like a loss. We'll miss them because I think they brought great things to Xbox, but I don't think it's like a like F you Xbox, like you suck, you can't retain these people and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just the nature of the gaming industry, and people switch jobs and and things like that. So, Microsoft had massive layoffs not too long ago, and it impacted a lot of the gaming divisions. 343 was impacted the hardest, right? And we're still seeing 343 news. Like Frank O'Connor is supposedly no longer working for Microsoft, right? But I don't make a huge deal about that stuff. So like Bungie, I'm not gonna make a big deal about that. But I would like to see the same energy from the PlayStation community. The people that make a huge deal about anytime Xbox lays somebody off, or there's people that leave Xbox. Bungie's part of Sony now, so give them the same smoke, right? Yeah, Nick says employee retention was part of the Sony Bungie deal. Seems like it was for a limited time. That's what I'm guessing, because obviously it had to have been only for a limited time. Jax asked, what games do I expect at the Xbox showcase in June? Man, that's a tough one because I'm a very optimistic individual when it comes to forward predictions. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. Last year, I would have never predicted they did that 12-month thing. So I look at it, and I'm looking at the potential for what could be there. And I kind of go back to what I said last year. And we didn't get it. So maybe this year's the time. I want a full-on update on all those fucking games we had announced back in 2020. The E3 where they had the 5 big games coming to Xbox, Series X. There was Forza, there was State of Decay 3, there was Perfect Dark. Maybe Perfect Dark wasn't at that one. Maybe it's at another one. I don't remember. Anyway, Perfect Dark, I still include that because that was if it wasn't at that show, it was at the Game Awards the same year. Fable, Avowed. We haven't seen these games and going on close to 3 years now. I need updates on those games. I want new trailers. I want information. Hopefully a window of some sort on release. I think we're going to see Hellblade 2. I think we're going to see Forza Motorsport for sure. Those are the 2 best bets. So those 2 I would say. And then the other ones are all wishful thinking. But I would like to be right as opposed to being wrong. You can also maybe count on Silk Song being there. I'm hoping for new game announcements as well. 2 of them, maybe 2 big new game announcements. We still have so many games to have announced at Xbox. And that's the crazy thing is, all these projects that have been in development for a long time, like Compulsion, In Exile. There's so many things that they're working on, and we still need to know what they are. Id's got a game. I want to see more Indiana. I want to see Indiana Jones. There's so much stuff that they could do. So that's the hardest thing with Xbox now. It's like they have so much. It's hard to predict, right? It's hard to predict. Staffo says you have to disagree. You don't want to see anything that isn't ready. That's fine. I understand that sentiment. I get that completely. For me, it doesn't bother me. I would rather know of games that exist and get at least somewhat frequent updates about that game. Like I've been hyped about Starfield since 2018, right? And we've had different trailers at different times. We've had several Todd Howard interviews. We've had different things over the years about Starfield, right? But I didn't see a lot of people complaining about that. There was one point where like, why are people excited for Starfield? Nobody even knows what it is. And I did a video where I was like, here's everything we know about Starfield, and here's all these Todd Howard interviews and all that stuff. The thing about those games from Xbox, those like ones that I listed, is they have not updated us really at all on any of those games. And it's been almost 3 years. So I really want some information about them, because those are the games I'm most excited about. Like I'm most excited about a lot of these first party games that have been in development for a long time. And I want to know more about them. So I hope they're there. And maybe we can get a glimpse at like some gameplay, in-engine stuff or something to give us a grasp of what these games are going to be. Right? Like, I want to see Fable 3-bit. You know? I want to see Perfect Dark. Really bad. Really bad. Stuff like that. And if we're only focused on what's going to be ready in the next like 12 months or so, then and in that case, maybe Avowed, maybe Hellblade 2, maybe Contraband, and maybe and then Forza Motorsport, I would say would be the most likelies, right? If you were to like put a gun to my head and say, hey, you have to pick 4 games that are going to be there, like that are not released yet, it would be Forza Motorsport, it would be Avowed, it would be Contraband, and Hellblade 2. You can agree with Fable. Yeah. Punty says, Mav, for doing your podcast for only 2 years, your show is pretty popular and enjoyable. Some of your shows are like a warm blanket. I appreciate that. You know, we try. The comments like that do mean a lot to us, and appreciate the feedback. And I hope to be a warm blanket for many years to come. But yeah, that means a lot. Yeah, and I don't really know, like, here's the thing. There's not like a barometer, you know? Like, how does the community perceive fun speculation, right? How does the community perceive our channel, right? Where do they put us? Where do we stack against the rest and all that stuff? And that stuff, like, you can't really tell, and you don't really think about too much, right? But comments like that give you confidence. You know what I mean? Like, give you confidence to say, hey, you know, I like what you do, keep doing it, and that's all that matters to me, right? So appreciate that. And it's not a competition. This whole community for me is like one big warm blanket. Right? 3-bit says Perfect Dark, Indiana Jones, Avowed, Fab, 3-bit, Fable, Hellblade, Forza Motorsport, Contraband, In Exile game, Compulsion game, etc. Interesting. Didn't you work on the dev? No, you didn't work on the. Did you work on the dev direct 3-bit? I forget. Yeah, I think you did. I think 3-bit. You did some work on the developer direct, didn't you? A little bit. Or it gave some input or something. I can't remember exactly. But that was an amazing developer direct that we got. I hope that's a format that they keep going forward. I'm hoping we get another one like around Gamescom. That'd be a couple months after E3. And if they have like Q4 stuff to show, and maybe even like a January something, that'd be really cool to see another developer direct for then. Board Game Renegade says, I just started watching your videos and I like that you keep it real. Thanks, man. Hey, appreciate that. Yeah, that's something we strive for here. Don't want to BS people. I mean, we have a lot of speculation. Like, the speculation can be sometimes not so, like, I mean, we can get a little optimistic, right, with things, and sometimes things don't happen. You know what I mean? It's all fun for us. But like when it comes to like gaming opinions and things like that, the thing that me and everybody else on our panel for our shows, we all just give our actual thoughts. We don't like feed into things just for clicks and shit like that. So you 3-bit did smaller video edit stuff for the show. You did a good job, 3-bit. Whatever it was you did, that was a great developer direct. And the fact that we have potentially more of those to look forward to is awesome. I hope they gotta have listened to the feedback and heard positive things, right? They can't have like done that and been like, oh well, it wasn't that great. That was like the best thing since their 2021 E3. So they have to have listened to everybody's response and be like, we got to do more of that, right? Jasper says we need an update on Minecraft HoloLens that was at one show. I think didn't the HoloLens guy get fired for like jacking off at work or something like that? I forget. Like, didn't they? I know HoloLens became like more of a commercial application device, but like I think the HoloLens lead guy, that was the guy kind of behind a lot of the tech on it and stuff, like got fired for jacking off with HoloLens stuff. I could be wrong. Didn't that happen? Isn't that a thing, chat? Or, correct me if I'm wrong. Or that he got caught like watching porn on it or something. I don't remember. God, I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah, you didn't hear about this, Sappho? His nickname's Spanky Def Leppard. Gosh, what's this? HoloLens dev fired. Okay, I'm gonna Google this. Oh, okay. So sorry, I maybe got this a little wrong. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Alex Kipman, insider. So this was from The Verge. Yeah, this guy looks like he looks like a guy that would do that though. This is from back in 2022 in June. Insiders reporting that Microsoft's Alex Kipman, who led the teams that developed the company's HoloLens augmented reality headset and Kinect motion controller for Xbox, and serves as one of Microsoft's top technical fellows, has resigned after allegations of verbal abuse and sexual harassment. According to insiders' sources, over 25 employees contributed to an internal report about alleged misconduct by Kipman, including instances of unwanted touching, as well as one time he allegedly watched a lewd VR video in front of employees in the office. So maybe I got the details a little wrong, but maybe not. I don't know. Unwanted touching? What does that mean? What does that mean, unwanted touching? Was he just one of those touchy-feely guys? The report comes after a previous insider report on the 25th where dozens of employees told the publication about Kipman's alleged behavior. 3 employees told Insider that they'd been warned not to leave women alone around Kipman. Good God. When Insider reached out at that time, Microsoft wouldn't confirm or deny specific allegations against women, but denied that Kipman had started being chaperoned by human resources personnel in meetings. Could you imagine having an employee where you got to have a watchdog to make sure they don't do anything to women? One former Microsoft executive was so distressed with Kipman's behavior, they suggested the COVID-19 outbreak actually make things better. Whoa. What? Wow, this quote says the best thing that happened, sadly, was the pandemic. So we never had to interact with him in person. I don't think I ever read this whole thing before. Kipman responded saying that don't believe what you read on the internet. That's his whole defense. I don't know. This seems like there was a lot of cooperation between the different women there. Yeah, do y'all remember this story? Yeah, I mean that's a little extreme, right? His name was Alex Kipman, and he was like a lead on the AR, VR, whatever stuff there. Kinect also. So yeah, they moved on from him. He was, I think, forced to resign. Another person that may have been forced to resign is Frank O'Connor. Recently, he's had some different accusations in the past. Frank O'Connor has like weird, some of it's weird though, and I don't even know if it's like legit or anything, but there's like 1 or 2 people that are obsessively like always going after Frank O'Connor with like crazy claims and stuff. But anyway, like regardless, Frank O'Connor, who is known by the Halo community as Frankie, has been with Halo teams since Bungie. He was a Halo like community manager. He did Bungie.net stuff. He created Mr. Chief, you know, and all that stuff. And back then, Bungie.net, he did a great job with the forums and keeping the community updated with the blogs and all that kind of stuff, right? But I never honestly really liked the guy. Like, whenever I saw him in interviews and stuff like that, he just always kind of gave me asshole vibes. You guys know what I mean by that? Like, he never had a smile on his face. He's just like, he just looked like a jerk. I'm just being honest. I don't know the guy. He could be the nicest guy in the world. I don't know. But he just put off that weird energy for me. And something about him just always seemed like, I don't know, I wasn't a big fan, you know. So this is not a huge loss for me. And 343s needed a huge shakeups anyway. It's not just him, but we've seen numerous people leave, and Joe Staten, now Frank O'Connor, Bonnie Ross, all these different things that happen. So I think hopefully there's hope for the future of Halo with the shakeup of the people in charge there. We'll see. Yeah, that was, I never read that, but there was like, man, for one of the people to say honestly that COVID was the best thing that happened because you didn't have to be around the office with the guy. I mean, my God, it's insane. I mean, that bad, huh? Yeah, Umbra says he went by Stinkles on most sites he was on. Yeah, that's like a thing to where it's like people don't 100% know if some of the account stuff that he's did was him or not. There's like controversy on that. If he like with some of the stuff that he's said in the past. So anyway, I'm not sad that Frank O'Connor's gone whatsoever. Yeah, but hopefully we see, like you said, hopefully we see better days for Halo. I don't. Kate said I just blasted that guy for jacking off. Well, I don't know. I read it as unwanted touching and watching lewd videos. I kind of put the two together. I put that he was unwantedly touching himself and watching the lewd videos in front of everybody. Could you imagine the guy just like put in the HoloLens stuff, and he forgets that like it's being like streamed on the TV, on the company projector in a meeting across the room because it's like on AirPlay or some shit, and he's sitting there like walking around his office whacking off while he's fucking the whole like team meeting is going on, and they're all like watching some weird porn, and they go, "What's going on?" And then they go and check it out, be like, "Hey, you need to stop this," and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you touching that. Anyway, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what could have possibly happened. Interesting stuff there, though. It seems like not every loss is a bad loss for Xbox as far as employees go. All right, let's see what else we got here. Masshole says Ghostwire is pretty sick. Def Leppard says Ghostwire is good. Yeah, I need to play more of it. Free Bear says Pee Wee Herman did it at the movie theater, so anything is possible. Yeah, but like, wasn't Pee Wee Herman in an adult theater? Wasn't he like in a one of those like old seedy like New York style like things where all the guys walk in trench coats, and like sit like different rows, and there's probably like 4 guys in the theater. It's scattered, and it's so gross. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he was at an adult theater. At least he wasn't at his workplace. I'll give Pee Wee Herman at least a little credit. He wanted to see the stuff on the big screen, and he was at least in an adult theater. I don't think he was at the movie theater with his family or anything like that. Cybergunner asks, how can they make Halo better? That is a tough question. Jasper says there was a CNN news anchor that did that on a Zoom call. What? Was this during COVID? Was he like on TV? Like he'd leave his like camera on in his Zoom. He forgot he was in a Zoom meeting and just like went to town. Kate said, aren't the movies technically his workplace? I guess so. Monty. I don't know if I want to read that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't see the CNN thing. That's crazy. Yeah, I want to get back on track. Let's move past the jacking off conversation. How can they make Halo better? Well, rumors are they're moving all into Unreal. So here's the thing. At this point, I mean, I think Halo Infinite was a really good game, right? I think the campaign was solid. It did end a little abrupt for me, but overall, I really liked this. Oh, I knew Umbra. If you were here, you're gonna say something, right? Yeah, the same Unreal. This is 5 at least, Umbra, but Redfall's running at 30 frames in Unreal. Just saying. Honestly, at this point, I want to see a whole new take on Halo. And I know that's like weird for me to say because I'm a Halo purist. I'm a Gotham Knights too, Umbra. I'm a Halo purist. So for me, it's like what I think may be best for Halo, maybe not exactly what I want. That makes sense. Like I honestly feel like they need to do two things with Halo, right? They need to take Halo, strip it down to its core, reinvent it a little bit with a new take on it, and let 343 or whoever they have work on it completely create their vision. Stop trying to copycat Bungie. Right? Go all in. If you want to call it reboot, I mean, that may be what's best. But in order to do that, here's what you do. I think you take some time away from it. I think you take some time away from Halo as the core like story, right? You do more spin-off stuff. You do more different takes on Halo with different games made by different people, different developers. You bring back Halo Wars. You kind of carry on that story. You do like a horror-based game. Maybe id makes it. You know, you do like maybe another ODST style game, right? You do a third-person game. You do different stuff. Open it up the IP, kind of like Disney has with Star Wars and Lucasfilm has with Star Wars, and had it to different developers. Xbox has so many developers, especially after ABK, to be like, hey, who wants to create their take and their game within the Halo universe, right? And you have these different experiences come out. So you have Halo something like every year or two, right? But it's still keeping that whole genre, it's keeping the whole franchise alive, right? And it still keeps that essence of that Halo universe. But the next game, the next mainline game you have come out, be like a reboot and take it back. And as much as this pains me to say, go back even earlier than the original games, right? Take it back with a reboot, but go back further in history, because we got Master Chief's story already like it further into his life as Master Chief, right? I want to see games that took place before that moment. I want to see like a game where he's after he got done with all the augments and became fully on like a Spartan, right? I want to see like the progression that got him to that point in the gameplay style, not just with other stories, not just with books and stuff. And I want to see that brought in a different way. And if we start back again from that point and they really nail it, I think everybody will be more accepting of what they do in the future. Now, the second part of Halo is the multiplayer. So, you know, it's different. You know, they've done this whole free-to-play thing now. They've tried to nail this. Honestly, it didn't catch on. It didn't work because they couldn't pump out enough content. Will Microsoft ever be the studio? Will 343 ever get it to the point where they can do right by that? I think what they need to do is go back to the old school approach, have more traditional games, and then have your multiplayer game attached to that game. And I said the opposite before Halo Infinite launched. I was really sold on the free-to-play thing. I was really sold that was the way to go forward because it was going to give them the best chance to succeed. But they forgot something. It takes content and it takes a pipeline. They can't just launch something and expect it to be successful, right? I feel like going back and you having your original maps, original creations based on the individual game you're making at the time will be the best approach on the mainline games, right? But I want to see it go back, you know, and there's so many different things they can do, man. I don't feel like they do enough with Halo. I feel like Halo is so massive as a brand and as an IP for them, and it's underutilized. They do the books and stuff. They do like other things, you know, and they put like all these years into these games, and then they fuck in this one game, and then they kind of drop the ball, and that's been a few games in a row now. Expand it to where you're not relying on that one success every 6 years, 5 years now. Because if that doesn't hit, it's not going to work. They just need to go back to the wheel and just really expand upon the universe and say like, hey, like, let's treat Halo as the big franchise and brand that it is. And I think that's what they need to do. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, Cyber Gunter. Yeah, Umbra says if they would have had the content drops ready, we'd been looking at a very different situation for the devs and the brand right now. Yeah, so originally, again, I took a huge L on this because I didn't want them to delay Halo again. I didn't care about the co-op. I didn't care about the Forge. You know, I was fine with waiting on those. I felt like they had the main game complete. They had the multiplayer ready. Let's launch it. I was expecting them to be like frequent updates with the multiplayer, keep it going, this whole like living multiplayer thing, a 10-year plan, all this stuff. I was like behind it. Yeah, like wait a few months, 3 months for the co-op, 3 months for the Forge, whatever. It ended up not being what happened, right? So I was not team delay. I was team launch it. They'd already delayed a year. I didn't want them to miss a key moment. And I was dead ass wrong. I was dead ass wrong because they weren't ready for the multiplayer. They got to the single player ready to go. I think that was a great experience for the most part, you know, the campaign. But the multiplayer side, they had no pipeline ready to go. They ended up having to use all their teams to like finish the other stuff that they didn't complete yet, which took way longer than than we all originally thought. And meanwhile, we had a couple of 6-month seasons where the game got stale. It had launched with less content than other multiplayer Halo games because of that. So I was really into it for a little while, but got burned out on it, and there was not a lot to look forward to. And to be honest with you, when they've added the content with the new seasons, it hasn't been all that for me. Even after waiting those long periods of time for the content, because it's not frequent updates, it's like when it hits, it's like, cool, I played it. Now I'm kind of done again. So it's still a fantastic, like they nailed the gameplay, the guns, the movement. They nailed the core essence of it. You got to have the content. And no, if I had known then that they had no plan for they were just winging it as far as like the whole live service aspect of it, I would have said delay another year. Because if they had delayed to this past November, they would have had the Forge beta. We would have had co-op. They would have had a lot more maps. They would have had the community already getting stuff made, all this kind of stuff. And then by March of this year, it would have been in a much better place. If the game had launched then, none of this conversation about Halo would be happening, unless they still would have not gotten the content right, which who knows? Maybe they've learned a lot this past year, and that's why they're starting to get things on track. So maybe the same situation would have happened. I don't know, but I really feel like it was the big failure on the multiplayer side of things as far as the content goes. So we'll see. I don't know, man. Huge shakeups at 343. But my way to fix Halo, honestly, stay away from the mainline campaign for a while, expand the universe, make other things, and then get back to the Halo campaign years later with a different take on it. That's what I would say. Just make it play good still. Halo raids would be cool. I know they could do like RPGs. They could do some different things. It's just like, it seems like 343 was always trying to like put their own little spin, but also stay true to Bungie and stay true to the classic, which I was for. I wanted them to be pure Halo games, but maybe for the most part, gaming has kind of surpassed that a little bit. I don't know. Phaser Swag says, am I excited for Avowed? I'm extremely excited for Avowed. Still want to know more about Avowed. I don't know exactly what Avowed is. I know it's a fantasy RPG, medieval style, from Obsidian. It's in the Pillars of an Eternity universe. As far as gameplay or how the world is going to operate and all that kind of stuff, I need to see more. But just the fact that it's Obsidian and it's an open world style RPG, I'm sold. Like, it's going to be amazing. FARK says it's a place of worship, each to their own, but we are here for gaming talk. Yeah. Xbox as a whole, it just seems like they're struggling to define who they are, want to be beyond Game Pass. It's an identity crisis. Halo is symptomatic of that. It's an interesting thought. Like, is Redfall a symptom of Game Pass with launching at 30 frames and not waiting till 60 hits? I don't know. I hope not. How's it going, Game Complainers? How you doing? Umbra says, give us a third-person action shooter featuring Fireteam Osiris with 4-player co-op with gunplay as good as Gears and movement fluid and fast like Vanquish. I'm sold. That'd be pretty crazy, dude. Okay, right on, dude. I didn't see the chat. I was trying to figure out what that was for. So my bad. Shout out to FARK. How's it going? Yeah, it's interesting to thought about Halo's future. I will say this. I will say this. Like, I'll say our future with Halo has never been so uncertain as it is now. Right? Like, we all knew like what was coming. But now it's like we have no clue. We always beforehand knew that it was going to be the next mainline Halo game. Now it's like the question is, what's next? What are they gonna do now? Like, I don't know. Cameron Larson says the studios just aren't talking about anything. Feels really dry, not just at Xbox. I mean, there's been some amazing trailers recently, though. Like, Nintendo had the new Zelda trailer. Everybody's hyped about that. There was the new Final Fantasy 16 trailer. Everybody's hyped about that. We had the new Jedi Survivor trailer. Everybody's hyped about that. People are somewhat hyped about Redfall. Minecraft Legends is happening. We have all the reviews that started hitting for that. But as a whole, for games that have been announced that are years out, yeah, there's not a lot of talk about those. It's not like it used to be. Like, when games were announced back in the day, we used to get like somewhat frequent updates about them, even if they were years away. And they used to do it via their website, the forums. They would share things, all these different styles. Now it's like, announce a game, radio silence for a long time, and then eventually we'll get to updating it. Games like Dragon Age. Dragon Age. The hell's like, I only ever reports we get is when like Jeff Grubbs is like, I hear the development's going well. Like, I want to know. I want more updates and like information or like little nuggets about some of these games. Sometimes, you know, the secrecy and the silence is like annoying as shit to me. I know there's a reasoning behind it. There's a reasoning behind it. It's always they don't want to say something and it not happen and stuff, but they can just make the smart decisions and be careful about what they share. You know, there's got to be things that they know 100% are going to happen in these games, or going to be in these games, or an essence of what the feeling or vibe are, and they could share things about this kind of stuff. Like I give the example of Starfield a lot because up until this past year or so, there hasn't been a lot of stuff with Starfield, except for like Todd Howard's interviews. But without spoiling the game, without giving too much away, he still drives hype behind it because he'll give you a little something, you know, like, wow, you know, like the end all be all space shooter. He says a space RPG, the end all be all space game. He says little things like that, you know, or like, yeah, this is going to be like the biggest thing we've ever made, or, you know, it's like Skyrim in space. And he'll say these things, you know, and like kind of give you that confidence, or that like, hey, I believe in this game, you know. Whereas games like Fable, Perfect Dark, I have faith because of the devs and Microsoft, you know, like, but I would still like to hear something. Then you got like stuff like Everwild. You know, Everwild's the biggest mystery for me, because that game was shown more than once. But now it's been a couple years since we've seen it the last time. And we've heard about, oh, they're rebooting the project, rebooting it, or starting from scratch, or what all the time on it. Like, and what was weird is like, we're still trying to figure out what it is, but here's some Everwild. It's like, what? Like, I don't know. Game development's just weird, man. It's just super weird. It's like sometimes it's like they don't know what they're making until like 3 months before the game comes out. It seems like I don't know. TK Chillin says, keep it secret, keep it safe. Yeah, I think they could share some without going big, you know. 343 Umbra says 343 goes back to the narrative and storytelling elements they masterfully gave us in Halo 4. Halo 4 campaign was really good. I just didn't like the Promethean stuff and all that. But besides that, I love the campaign. While evolving the gameplay from Infinite to the next level for the sequel. Hey, right on. Sappho says people will follow Bethesda even if they made only PC games. Yeah. People forget how big of an audience Bethesda has on PC. Starfield's gonna be huge. Clarence says Halo games need more military vehicle variation, more atmospheric variation, deeper character development. Yeah, I just want different takes on it, man. Like, it's so damn big. Like, they could do so much with it. They're just underutilized. Jasper's give us another ODST style game with Fireteam Raven as the main characters. Is Fireteam Raven from which Fireteam is that? Is that from Halo Wars? I forget which Fireteam. Or is that the Fireteam from ODST? I don't remember. Always Cola, don't feed into Umbra's ego with it. Umbra has like a huge ego problem that we try and contain in this community, and everybody knows about it. So don't give him any compliments. So you say you agree with Umbra about something, he's going to be talking about it for like a week, and he's going to keep thinking that's like the best idea ever, you know, because of his ego. So we don't want to feed into any of Umbra's egotistical issues that he has. Just kidding, Umbra. Yeah, I did like your idea too. Charlie says, I love that game. Finish the. Oh wait, which game are you talking about? Oh yeah, Mr. Wolf said no one hated Hi-Fi Rush Mystery Drop. I stopped everything and finished it. Yeah, that's cool, but they didn't tell us about it 3 years in advance and then not tell us anything about it for 3 years, right? If they have a surprise fucking game they want to throw at me, I'm like, hell yeah, I agree. I love that. You know, like, surprise the shit out of me with the game. But what I don't want is you to tell me about a game and then not tell me anything else about the game for 3 years. It's like it's a different thing, you know? Like, if they just surprised us with Perfect Dark out of nowhere, they're like, holy fucking shit, it's Perfect Dark is back. We would all be like going crazy. But instead, 3 years later, you know, the amount of like questions people have had, what's going on with the initiative? What's happening there? You know, is there turmoil behind the scenes? Like, they don't control the narrative a little bit. Like, the same thing with Fable, like stupid rumors like Fable's moving everything to Unreal and they're starting from scratch, but we're still expecting the game in 2024. Like, that was like, well, like, what? These rumors like coming nowhere because there's no controlling of the narrative because these games have been announced and stuff, but nobody knows what the hell's going on, so people just make up shit. So, like, if you're gonna announce it, like, keep us somewhat updated. That's all. It doesn't have to be big, right? Just stuff. Yeah, that was a horrible rumor. Jasper said it's a group of the ODST team Raven was a group of ODST that fought during the events of Halo 1 at other locales on the first ring and make it more horror. Okay, right on. Oh, the Dave and Buster's game was Fireteam Raven. That's right. Okay, yeah, I played that game. Angel Reeves says, yeah, Forza's Twitter drives me crazy. They'll upload screenshots of Forza Motorsport 7 all the time, but nothing from the new Motorsport. Like, come on, give us something. At least they did have we've seen Forza Motorsport more than any of those other games. And granted, it's coming out this year, so, but we saw Forza Motorsport at that 3 years ago. We saw it again at the Dev Direct this year. There may have been one other time we saw it, but plus also they had they have their like monthly thing that they do, and they've been given some updates on it with that as well. So they're still at least getting information about Forza Motorsport. Those other games, though, it's like dead silence. And the only things we ever hear is like when Matt Booty rarely does an interview or something, and they ask him these questions. How's Fable doing? Right? Because he's in charge of all these studios, right? And he's like, well, the team's really happy with it, but they're just not ready to share anything yet. But I've seen it and it's great. Cool. Well, then can the team at least share anything? Like, yeah, Delilah, I hear you. People forget that 2020 and 2021 caused a lot of disruption. For sure. I mean, I think it really messed things up. But it's still frustrating at times when we know that those games were announced in 2020, right? So there was already in a certain... I don't even think they had barely even started yet, to be honest with you. I think there were ideas at the time with like a little bit of like technical work behind the scenes maybe. And we're just now starting to get into the weeds of like them even figuring out, okay, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to do this? And the main question I have... Yeah, Red Monkey, but yeah, they announced Wolverine last year, right? Or was it the year before? There's been like 1.5 years maybe since we've seen Wolverine. Or maybe a year. I don't know exactly when. Maybe a year and a half, I guess. Been 3 years almost for some of these Xbox games. But what was that? Where was I going with this? What was I saying? I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Perfect Dark is the one I have the most questions on. Because you remember like Drew Murray on Twitter? Like Drew Murray was doing what I wanted, right? Drew Murray was doing a great job. Like he would like hint a little bit about Perfect Dark occasionally on Twitter when he was with the initiative. And he'd be like, post a picture, hey Phil, checked out our game today, I love it. Or he'd like, my daughter played the game today, she's digging it. Like little things like this. And then remember, guys, like Drew Murray, oh, he's leaving the initiative for family reasons, right? And I think that was like something to do with his family or to be closer to his family or something. And then like a month or two later, he's back at Insomniac. And then it was a long time before we ever heard anything about Perfect Dark again until we found out and they made the announcement that Crystal Dynamics was helping with Perfect Dark. So I don't know, like, was Drew Murray just getting the core base of what the game is done and then they hand off the core development to Crystal Dynamics? Did it go through a big change at some point after Drew Murray left? I don't know. Like that's the one I have the most questions with because it made it seem like that game was potentially sooner originally with a lot of the Drew Murray stuff. But he's not there anymore, so we get no information. And Insomniac keeps putting out games. Spider-Man 2 is this year. Insomniac will have put out this generation Spider-Man remastered Spider-Man Miles Morales and also Spider-Man 2 before we get Perfect Dark. That's 3 different projects. I don't know. And they announced another game with Wolverine. Insomniac's on a beast, though. I mean, those guys are insane. They're kind of like Obsidian. Just cranking shit out. Yeah, I granted, Jasper, you're right. They are all kind of the same. Right? And they all built off of Spider-Man that was already released in 2018 or whatever. Right? So, yes, they've just built off of that. They've developed a core, and now they're just expanding on it. And it takes way less time. So that's a very good point. Well, the initiative has to build something from the ground up with Perfect Dark. And that's been one of the main reasons why I think a lot of these games for Xbox are taking so long, is a lot of them are just having to be made from the ground up from scratch. Like, Forza Motorsport went through a full reboot, right? It completely reworked the engine, all this new stuff. You know, we got even with Redfall, you know, Arcane is working with Unreal for the first time, I think, as opposed to working with like id Tech and stuff before. Fable is being built from the ground up from a team that's never made a game like that before. You know, they're a racing game studio. Now they're making a Fable. So they got to completely build that from the ground up. The Perfect Dark Fable. Avowed's got to be built from the ground up. You know, like, these aren't like ongoing franchises that they're getting sequels to. And that's one of the reasons, yeah, that these games are taking so long. But I would like to still see some kind of information on it. Painting and assembly. I would like to see Insomniac go back and make another Sunset Overdrive. I don't know if we'll ever see it. Muslim Shmeek says, hey, for him, Halo's story ended at 3. Anything after that is non-canon in your eyes. Right, because they had the different endings for 3, right? They had like the legendary ending. And then the regular ending. Charlie says, I don't think we'll see several games they announced at all. Yeah, I hope we do. I mean, they got it at some point, right? But maybe they, like Game Awards, maybe they do something else with like Perfect Dark there. That'd be cool. Red Monkey Butt says, I want Xbox games to be good, but I don't want Microsoft to back themselves into a corner of only trying to make 98 Metacritic games. Yeah, no, I want the variety for sure. You know, and I don't know if we'll see that again from Xbox, really. Maybe like a game like Hellblade 2 could hit that. I don't know. But I want fun games more importantly than I want high Metacritic score games, right? If that makes sense. What did Infinite get on Meta? Was it like in the high 80s or low 80s? I forget. 87. $87 on Meta. It's pretty close to a 90. Yeah, Jasper, that's true. That's part of the problem with Halo is everybody wants something different, right? Everybody has their like idea of what Halo should be, and you're not going to ever be able to make everybody happy. I just hope they find it like the team that makes the next mainline Halo game. I hope they just kind of block all that noise out and make a real true creative vision for what they want to make. Because that's the way you're going to find new fans that love that, right? Or maybe everybody accepts it because like, oh, well, this is really cool. It's different, but oh, I really like that. Like, you know, when they rebooted God of War with God of War 2018, 2019, I don't remember, whatever. The last God before Ragnarok, that God of War. That was really different than the God of Wars before it, you know? But it launched that game into another level and stratosphere for a lot of people. I think, Moses Schmeek, I think, based on Bonnie Ross's interviews in the past, I think with 4 and 5, they were trying to appease everybody. I really think 343 was trying to appease people a lot and still do a little bit of their twist on it, but they were really trying really hard to appease the Halo audience and fan base. And I don't think you can. I liked the games. I liked 5. I liked 4. I didn't have as much problem. The only thing I didn't like in 5 was the multiplayer, actually, which a lot of people liked. I didn't like the multiplayer. I thought it was too reliant on forge maps that looked like ass. The Spartans felt more sluggish and slow to me than they had in the past. Infinite has the best playing multiplayer in Halo since Halo 2 for me. It's just the maps just, and I don't know, it's just not there in a lot of ways other than that, gameplay wise. Glaren says Everwild had to be reimagined because you need conflict and strong villains and likable good guys to make a compelling story. Everwild game was about ecological Quakers protecting rare animals. Interesting. Yeah, I've kind of been curious about 343 if they did a different game and really had true creative freedom, what they could create, because it's a super talented studio. I mean, they make some really amazing shit. Like within Halo, it's a very like impressive game. And same thing with Coalition. One of my bigger disappointments so far with news that we've had was the fact that the other projects that the Coalition was working on were sidelined or outright potentially canceled to put the team all on Gears 6. I really wanted to see something different from Coalition. Coalition to me could be like, you know, Naughty Dog and have like a two game type studio, right? Where the Naughty Dog was like Uncharted and Last of Us. I could see Coalition being Gears and something else. Yeah, 4 they went after COD casuals and 5 went after competitive players. That is exact. Yeah, 5 they did go after the competition players and the whole esports thing with the whole paintball style game modes they had, Breakout or whatever it was. I wasn't a big fan of that. 4, I actually really liked the multiplayer in 4. I really didn't mind the multiplayer in 4. I just felt like it could have used more updates and maps more frequently and stuff. 4 was crazy impressive. I loved 4. Except some of the story stuff. I didn't like a lot of the Prometheans. It's not as fun shooting at fucking robots. Like, I just don't like shooting at robots. I wanted to shoot at Covenant, you know? I wanted to brutes and grunts and elites, you know, that kind of stuff. I just don't want to shoot at robots. Safa says, I heard that new IP was a much smaller project in terms of scale, but they could return to it. I hope they return to it. I think Coalition is extremely impressive, and I want to see what else they can do. Umbra says they need to allow Gears to rest after 6 and give the Coalition the freedom to finish new IP they were working on. Hopefully. Clarence says certain affinity is packed with ex-Bungie devs. They may be entrusted with the main Halo story. Possibly. Max Hoberman in charge there. Bungie alumni. He is one of the people. You want to talk about people that impacted gaming's history? He has dramatically, because back at Bungie, he was responsible for really doing the matchmaking and creating that whole system with Halo 2, which pretty much changed online gaming forever. Right? So Max Hoberman had a huge impact. And then when he left and did Certain Affinity, they became a multiplayer focused studio that either supported games like Call of Duty and Halo. They outright made multiplayer modes for games as well, like Doom. Certain Affinity is like extremely important, and they're heavily invested in Halo now, doing different stuff with Halo. So, in my opinion, with Certain Affinity is I honestly think that Microsoft needs to acquire them, and they got to pay whatever they need. They need to talk to Max and be like, hey, or whoever we got to talk to here. What do we got to pay to lock you guys down and make you part of our Microsoft family for good now? Because look at, if you think about what could happen if they ended up selling to somebody else eventually. Like, Certain Affinity is very key and important to Microsoft, I think. Especially when you look at the franchises now that Microsoft owns and is going to own, between Call of Duty, Doom, and Halo. You got to get Certain Affinity on board here. Like, you don't want to lose those guys. Tencent owns them, or they own a portion of them? Does Tencent own Certain Affinity outright? They own the parent company, Leiyu. I don't know. Maybe they can buy them from certain Tencent. I don't know. They gotta figure it out. Like, or I guess if they're owned by a different company like that, then they're still okay, as opposed to potentially losing them to somebody else that's more platform focused. Yeah, like Certain Affinity is like a crucial support studio for Microsoft. But yeah, I'm gonna look up Certain Affinity. I'm curious about that. Okay, so they have a subsidiary, Certain Affinity Toronto, and you're right. Leiyu is a 20% owner. So I think they own 20% of Certain Affinity. I'm not sure. I'm trying to look it up. But it might be the majority shareholder, though. In 2017, Leiyu Tech invested $10 million in Certain Affinity to develop an original game. And I think that with that, they took a 20% share. But I don't think they own them outright. But maybe they're the primary. I don't know if they're the primary shareholder or what. Unclear. But if I look at it, it says owners 20%. Yeah. So maybe they can still get bought. I don't know. Yeah, can you imagine if they got acquired by somebody with what they're doing in the middle of Halo right now for them? Doing the BR stuff or whatever else they're making? I mean, just look at, if you look at Certain Affinity's history, right? The games that they've worked on. Halo 2, Call of Duty World at War. I'm just naming games that, like, Xbox has a relationship with or is involved with somehow, right? So they've done Halo 2, Call of Duty World at War. They've actually assisted in development on Left 4 Dead, which I know Xbox isn't like isn't really relevant here, but found that interesting. They created Halo Waypoint with 343, which was the whole online thing that they've had for forever. Call of Duty Black Ops, they've helped with that. Halo Reach, Crimson Alliance, which is the old Xbox Live Arcade game. They created that. Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 4, Call of Duty Ghost, Master Chief Collection, Doom. They did the multiplayer. Modern Warfare Remastered, they worked on that. Halo Infinite. I mean, it's been like a... they've almost been like one of Xbox's studios, right? But they're not. I just think it would be really damaging if let's say that like Sony goes and look, hey, we're gonna buy certain Affinity to help support on our new live service games and Destiny, right? Or whatever Bungie's making in the future. Again, Bungie ties with Max Hoberman and all that kind of stuff, right? So let's say Sony wanted to make a move on certain Affinity, and it was possible because if they're really looking at trying to go the direction they may be going, that would be a huge blow for Microsoft. I mean, that would be bad. That'd be very bad. So if I was like Xbox, and if there was a way, I don't know if there is a way to acquire certain Affinity, but if there is a way, that would be like my priority number one over everything else, just as a block. You don't want anybody else to get them. Like, no, we need these guys. We can't afford to lose those with everything we got going on, especially with Call of Duty and Halo and stuff. Red Monkey Bot says, I want Halo with realistic graphics with a campaign set in the jungle like the first Predator movie. That would be sick. But what if you did it as a ODST or a Marine, and you like got stranded in the jungle against elites and grunts and stuff like that, or the Flood, right, in the jungle, and you're not actually a Spartan, right? So that gives you more of that horror element. You felt more like you're being hunted, because I think as a Spartan, you're too much of a badass. Like you are, for me, as a Spartan, you are a predator. What's up, GamePassDad? I was checking out GamePassDad's stream earlier over on Twitch. He was going through and dancing to old Disney intro music for Disney shows and stuff. It's a great stream earlier, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, this Halo conversations took on a life of its own. I wasn't even expecting to talk this much about Halo. Yeah, as long as it's mature and realistic, right on. What do y'all want Perfect Dark to be? I mean, supposedly it's first person, unless that's changed, right? Do y'all want it to stay kind of true to the old Perfect Dark style games and be like a new take on that? Or do you want a whole new, like, do you want more of a stealth experience? When I found out they were doing Perfect Dark again, I thought potentially they could go with like a more of an action based stealth style shooter, right? I'm actually one that liked Perfect Dark Zero. It was slow as hell and the gunplay was kind of ass, but I still liked it. I had a fun with it. I had a blast with the multiplayer. I think you could have like 32 players online with bots and stuff. That was still a fun game to play. They had all these gadgets and stuff like that. I think it was an interesting take back then. It was like an Xbox 360 launch game, if I remember. But like when they said Perfect Dark was coming back, I'm like, oh, this could be amazing now, right? Like they could really go all in because the stealth genre has a hole in it, right? Metal Gear is gone. And maybe unless it's coming back, supposedly it might be coming back, but Metal Gear's gone. Splinter Cell's been absent the entire last generation. They had the opportunity with Perfect Dark to be like, hey, let's just maybe go a little bit more all in on the stealth and do more of a serious game, you know? Felt like a great possibility, but instead I feel like they focus more on like a first-person shooter game again, which is not to say it's going to be a bad game. It could be amazing, but I was curious. And here's the thing: 3 years after a game is announced, we're still asking these questions because we have no fucking clue what it is. We have no clue like what kind of game this new Perfect Dark is. CBH4 guy says, I'm still thinking we're too early on the Xbox, looking at an 8-year generation console. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a long generation. I think we see potentially updated hardware even at some point in this generation. I know that's a controversial topic, but it seems more and more likely, you know, the years we get into this cycle. Maybe 2025, 2020, 2025, something like that, 2026. You could potentially see an update. You got to put yourself ahead a couple years and think about if you would want it then, right? I think most of us wouldn't want it now. 3 years from now, I might want it, you know. But yeah, there's still so many games coming. I just want to see them. I can't wait. I hope this is the biggest. I hope this is the biggest, best Xbox showcase we've ever had. They got the potential to do it if they want to do it. Yeah, I was excited when I saw Crystal Dynamics working on Perfect Dark, though. That people took that as like, well, what's going on with the initiative? Oh my God, you know, they can't even make their own game. Blah, 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 blah. Missing the point that originally when the initiative was formed, they kind of alluded to that this was going to be a smaller team that was going to kind of develop projects and stuff like that. So bringing in heavy hitters like Crystal Dynamics was a big move. I wonder how much changed. Now, I know that Embracer Group said that there's, you know, nothing's going to change, but I wonder if there is any change when like Embracer Group was involved, right, with Crystal Dynamics. And remember, it was also, I think it was either rumored or announced that Eidos Montreal is helping with Fable. So that's two deals of two developers that were working with Microsoft first-party teams from former Square devs. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, Eidos Montreal is more synonymous with, I think, Deus Ex. And they did Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I think they did Guardians of the Galaxy. But they obviously know what they're doing. Both of those studios. Yeah, Crystal Dynamics really screwed up that Marvel Avengers game. I put that more on Square. I mean, that's just like, I don't know. It's like, overall, the game was technically impressive, right? It seemed like a well-made game. It was just forced into this model. And then when you make these decisions, and I don't think people like appreciate this kind of stuff enough, but like, and this is the kind of stuff that Ubisoft always has issues with, is when you make a decision to make a game like a certain model or something, then that can have a lot of effects on the content in the game, and not just like content as far as like unlockables and like outfits and skins, all this kind of stuff, right? But actually gameplay mechanics, right? Like the moves, even the abilities that you have, because everything has to be like this grindy aspect to it, where things can kind of grow. You got all these like numbers and statistics involved. You got loot. You got all these different things that they're focusing on instead of the core game and story. So whereas Crystal Dynamics made a really technically solid game that like was really gorgeous to look at, it's kind of fun to play. The main storyline has really great elements to it, but you see this whole model like shoved in there and forced upon it, like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. That it's like taking this great story-based, technically savvy team that's great at making these kind of experiences, and then say, hey, but you're going to turn it into this. We need this. And they're like, we've never done that before, but okay. And then they start trying to, well, how do we make the gameplay work? Because we need all these characters to be able to play off of each other, but also have these abilities that scale and do all this stuff. and they're like, well, let's figure it out, and then everything kind of gets like dumbed down, right? The key difference is when you look at a game like Gotham Knights as opposed to Arkham, how focused that is with Arkham games, and how like of a great story beat and path that is, and the gameplay style. And then Gotham Knights, everything gets kind of like twisted a little bit, you know? So I really think that Crystal Dynamics did the best that they could with that. And you look at Eidos Montreal, like they created such an amazing experience with Guardians. I can't wait to see, you know, their work on those games. I think Fable and Perfect Dark are going to be amazing. Another one that I'm really looking forward to is State of Decay 3 that was announced. This is going to be, they're really taking huge leaps with this one, going bigger than they ever had before. They used to have this idea of State of Decay becoming this MMO back in the day. And it's what the original creator wanted. Now he has left with some controversy. But there's thoughts like this State of Decay could become this bigger thing. Yeah, exactly. I'm just kind of using that as an example, Lord Among Us. Like, I think that the difference between those games is you could kind of see like WB Montreal made the Lord of the Rings games. God, what the Shadow of Middle Earth and stuff, right? Shadows of Middle Earth or whatever it's called. Fuck. Shadows of War. What? Somebody remind me what those games are called. But they made those Lord of the Rings games, which were great, you know. But then they, you know, WB Montreal makes Gotham Knights. And it's like, now they're having to make this, Shadow of Mordor, thank you. Now they're having to make this like, okay, like systematic like thing. You know? Well, it was Monolith. That's right. Fuck. You're right. It was Monolith. I was wrong. What did WB Montreal make before that? WB Montreal made Arkham Origins, right? You're right. Fifth Horseman. Thank you for correcting me. It was Monolith. And Monolith is the one. Are they making? Are they the ones making Wonder Woman? I think now. Yeah, thanks, man. I get shit wrong, but you're right. It was Monolith. And Monolith has the whole like system. What that system, the Nemesis system. Like they had the patent on that. I actually liked Arkham Origins. Now it's probably the worst game out of the Arkham series, but I liked it a lot. I thought it was a good game. Monolith is Wonder Woman, Jasper. Okay. So WB Montreal before Gotham Knights, the last game was Arkham Origins. Was it that long? Or did WB Montreal make something else in between? Because that's a long time between games. But also, we got to look at Rocksteady. Rocksteady's had, by the time the Suicide Squad releases, it'll be like 8 years between games for them. Just fucking crazy. And we still don't have updates on the Arkham games for this generation. That's one of the biggest travesties for me is some of these games. You know, we've got so many updates on games, right, guys? Like FPS boosted or like 60 frames updates or next gen updates. And some of them, you know, like GTA, they sold it to us, right? Or like some games they do for free. You know, you have your PlayStation stuff where they sell them extra $10 and stuff sometimes, you know. But fucking Arkham series, really? We can't get that at 60 now, remastered again. I know they already did it once, the Xbox One generation, but I mean, come on, those games just, they need it so bad. That and Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar, come on. We've already had the GTA update like 3 times now. Like, can we get a Red Dead Redemption 2 update to hit 60 on that? Those are my 2 big requests. Make it happen, developers. Those are last generation games that ran on junk ass old hardware like the Xbox One and the PS4. You can make them 60 on a Series X and a PS5. I would replay the entire Arkham series. I would replay the Red Dead Redemption 2. I'd play a lot more Red Dead Online. Is there, Red Monkey Butt says, is there any open world co-op untethered game that runs 60 frames per second? Untethered. I'll say this. I don't know what the point is of untethered in most of these co-op games. Doesn't really bother me too much. It's Sea of Thieves. Yeah. Is Destiny tethered or is it untethered? But Destiny's not fully open world. It's more like hub world, right? Same with Borderlands. Borderlands isn't really truly open. It's more hub world. But even as I think Borderlands is tethered. I can't remember. Is Borderlands tethered, guys? Or is it not? There's Tiny Tina's. Yeah, Jasper, GTA 5 Online. Yeah, that's just huge. And honestly, you put GTA 5 Online graphics now up against a lot of things. It's scored 4K. It's like 4K 60, runs flawlessly. If you got the update, oh my god, it looks amazing. Shinomori says, I can't even think of any games besides Redfall that are untethered. Gotham Knights is untethered, but the Unreal Engine 4 and also the same issue with CPU bottleneck causing it to be 30 frames. I got a question on Gotham Knights. Would you guys rather have it 60 frames or be tethered? I mean, or be untethered. I don't really know the point of untethering in co-op games too much. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, when I play co-op games with my friends, I'm choosing to play multiplayer with them, and we're doing things together. Like, I'm not going off on the other side of the map by myself. Like, it just seems like a more, if it's gonna run you into like technical hurdles, it seems like an unnecessary choice. I'm sure there are more. You know, Sea of Thieves is a great example of one. trying to think. Yeah, those MMOs, Fallout 76, you know, you got ESO. Is ESO probably untethered, I'm sure. Maybe I would assume most MMOs. But are those like built differently? Yeah, it's Crackdown tethered. That's a good question, Jasper. But Crackdown's still 30 frames. They haven't updated Crackdown yet. Which is ridiculous. Crackdown 3 is another one that needs to be 60 frames. I just don't think they want to pay a developer to do it. Untethered co-op. Therein says Crackdown should be reimagined as a universal federation of super saints charged with pacifying unruly regions of different planets. Okay. Crackdown's cool. I actually like Crackdown 3. It just, I wish it was 60. Rust, Jasper says. Far Cry 6. Is Far Cry 6 that's a great one, Jasper. Is Far Cry 6 tethered? You want to hop in with, do you have it installed? Jasper, you want to test, do you have Far Cry 6? I'm curious. I want to test that out. Because that's pretty graphically impressive game still. I mean, it's not like, I mean, it's more graphically impressive than Redfall is, probably. You don't have it? That's no help. Far Cry is untethered. Is it 4-player co-op or 2? Well, they said it's coming. And so it's 2-player. So it's still not a fair comparison because Redfall's 4-player. Halo Infinite's tethered, but it's a really long tether. Like, you can go really far away from each other. Now, Far Cry 6 is 60. It's 4K 60, Shinamori. It's fucking flawlessly. It runs like butter. The Far Cry 6 has been 60 frames since launch. Far Cry 5 just got an update not too long ago, finally. But before that, it was utilizing FPS boost. But officially, Ubisoft finally updated it to hit 60 frames on next-gen consoles. But Far Cry 6 has been 60 frames on current-gen consoles since launch. I don't know about last-gen, and I don't know about the Series S. But PS5 and Series X is 60. Saints Row reboot is untethered. Is that 4-player co-op, Jasper, or 2? But the graphics in that game are pretty ass, too. But still, like, if they could dumb down the graphics for 60, I'd take it. Yeah, 5 is really good. I actually like 5, to be honest with you, like more than 6 in some ways, because I feel like as a game, it was easier to get accomplished things. Far Cry 6 is so fucking massive. It's like daunting when you're playing. You just get sidetracked all the time. It's just, And I will say this too about Far Cry 6, as much as beautiful it is, I felt like 5 had a little bit more variety with things. It just felt like Far Cry 5 had a better impact as a game than 6 does. But 6 is still great. I love 6. It's just too big. My favorite Far Cry game is Far Cry Instincts Predator. My second favorite is Far Cry 3. And then I liked 5 next. So Instincts Predator 3, then 5. But I liked Instincts Predator the most, not because of the campaign, because back then I played a lot of multiplayer on Far Cry, and I used to just spend a lot of time making maps and doing cool shit like that on it. They don't really do that anymore with Far Cry. It's a shame, because they've had the best map editor on consoles, period. The Division 2 is untethered, you believe, and 60 frames. I think you're right about that. Division 2 is untethered. And it's a very detailed game, too. That's a good one. But does that qualify as like a... no, I mean, that's fair comparison to Redfall. Yeah, so how does the Division 2 do it and Redfall can't? Because Division 2 is fucking gorgeous. And it's 60 frames on Series X. Once they came out with that Series X update, that was wow. Yeah, Division 2 is 4-player co-op. Division 2's 4-player co-op is a huge map. And it's untethered, and it's a looter. And its graphics are more detailed than Redfall's. Yeah, so yes, if they can do it in Division 2, but that's a different engine, it's a Snowdrop. You would say Destiny is closer to Redfall than the Division. The difference with... Well, here's the thing about Redfall 2. It's not entirely open world. There's 2 worlds. It is a hub world game, so you're right. Destiny probably is closer. There's 2 main worlds to it, so you don't... It's not just one massive one. There's 2 areas. So Destiny, Borderlands are probably closer to that, but is Destiny untethered or tethered? Red Monkey Butt, when Division 2 launched, it was on the Xbox One. So, no, it didn't launch at 60 frames. But it didn't take them long after this generation of consoles to come out with the 60 frames update. Untethered and can do 120 frames, Jasper? Yeah, I'm sure if Division 2 launched on Series X, it would have been 60 frames. Because it runs like fucking butter. We played if you're familiar with our channel, like we've done a lot of Division streams. We love the Division. Like we got into it for like 2 months, 3 months in a row. We just play the shit out of every day for a while. That update hit was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Shinomori says a 4K texture has the same CPU GPU load, regardless of the detail. Right on. Maybe particle effects, maybe. I don't know. What's their excuse? I'm trying to look for excuses. It's the Division 2 PvE or PvP. It's both. Destiny 2 is 120 at 1440 and 4K 60. Yeah, I would say that graphically, like Destiny also looks a little bit more stylized like Redfall in some ways. You know, like you got that kind of more colorful art style and stuff. I don't know if that matters though, you know. Yeah, Kane did say Redfall is their most ambitious game. Yeah. And they did say 60's coming later. That's my biggest issue, is that it's possible. They know it's possible. They just can't do it yet. Or it's not coming yet. And they're still launching the game. That's a Microsoft. It's got to be a Microsoft decision or a Bethesda decision. I don't know. I don't know who makes the final decisions on that stuff, but up One Trick Pony, how's it going? Yeah, we'll see what Bungie does next. Thinking that Bungie's next game is gonna be massive. Yeah, I mean, I still think Redfall is gonna be a good game. I still think it's gonna be a fun game. It's just gonna be a good, fun game that I ain't gonna play till it's 60 frames. It is what it is. Unless I can play at 60 on my PC, which may be a possibility. We'll see. I don't know. If I can get it to play on my PC at 60 and on my PC, and which is like my Series X destroys my PC as far as power. If I can get it to run at 60 frames on my PC and it doesn't run at 60 on the Xbox, there's like no excuse. It's just time. The only excuse was they didn't have enough time to optimize it for consoles enough. We'll see. I'll know when the game comes out, because I will launch it on my. And I know people are gonna look at me on Twitter like, I see that you played Redfall, Mav. I see your account that says that you got an achievement or you played it, and I'm like, yeah, I wanted to see if I could play it on my PC. But they're gonna be like, you said you weren't gonna play it. I want to play it at 60. I'll play it on my PC if my PC can do it. Right on, Umbra. Have a good one, man. I'm getting out of here too. We had some fun discussions tonight, guys. Just kind of ran with whatever you guys wanted to talk about. Exactly what I wanted to do. You guys made this stream super easy. I appreciate it. But yeah, I do got to get out of here and get going to bed and stuff, because guess what? It's a Monday tomorrow. Yay. Yay, Monday. The week starts for us all. But I hope you all have a great night tonight. And if you enjoyed the stream, hit the like button and share out the channel. Sub to us. Hit the notification bell. All that cool, fun stuff. And I appreciate you all so much. Hopefully we get some cool, good gaming news Monday happening tomorrow. Hopefully we do. That would be absolutely amazing if we have some great gaming news on a Monday. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've had that. So, but you guys all rock again, and appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow night for a Fun Speculation podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern, PM in the PM on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Fridays, Xbox Ultimate at 10. In the chat, thanks for the kind words. Have a great night. Peace out, everybody.